Hi, today we're going to be cooking bread-crumbed belly of pork with black pudding and apple and mustard sauce. We're using a belly of pork from NS James, which is a True Taste of Wales award winner in recognition of the best of Wales's food and drink. I myself and the Hardwick, we are a True Taste of Wales award winners. We won the Dining Out Award for the southeast of Wales. It looks a bit sort of intimidating, but to be honest with you, just ask your bush for a belly of pork, just trimmed. Place it into a tray, a roasting tray or something like this. What we've got in here, we've got a bit of water in there because it's going to be braised in the water. We've got some onions, carrot, celery. We'll just put a little bit of parchment paper just to put on top of the belly pork. The parchment paper will prevent the tinfoil from sticking to the top of the belly pork. So this is going to go in a low oven, 120 degrees centigrade, for approximately 8 hours. To cook it such a long time really makes it tender, so it will actually be very, very sort of like soft to eat. Right, so we pop this one in the oven. This one here is one I cooked earlier. So this is what it looks like once it's had 8 hours. There's a little bit of shrinkage involved. It's quite normal. Not a lot because, again, we're not cooking it on a high heat. Using two sort of like spatulas, lift it up out of the liquid and just place it onto a tray. Look how soft the fat is, and that belly is just so nicely cooked, just inside. Delicious. As soon as it comes out of the oven, you need to let it cool down a little bit. So take it out, put it on the tray, give it 5-10 minutes to cool down so you can actually handle it because it's going to be quite hot. You want to gently peel back the top layer of the skin. If you grab a spoon, use a spoon always helps. And just gently, see it just peels back so effortlessly. This is the stuff we're not going to use, it's just going to discard this. So have a little bowl ready just to put what you don't need into. The belly pork's in layers, so we're going to break the pork down into layers. And as we reform the layers over here on a tray that I've cling filmed, because it's going to be wrapped in this cling film afterwards, so when it sets up, every time we do a layer of pork, we put a layer of black pudding in, and it builds up, so it looks a bit like a licorice also at the end. We're going to reserve. See how soft that fat is. It's just pure fat. That is. That's good fat. That is for putting back into it because you need to put fat back into it, so otherwise it'd be quite dry. So then, if you can see, here's a layer of pork. You turn it over, and there's another layer on the bottom you just need to remove. So once you get a bit of pork, it's just like that. So basically we need to we want all the meat to go the same way. As you can see, it's all like in lines, so just keep the lines going the same way. We're going to sort of build a piece up like this, then we'll put black pudding on, then we'll build another layer up. This is the best bit, the top bit, which is like that's just pure belly meat. Just take some of that excess of that fat out, the liquid fat like that. So there we've got our first layer. Now I've got some black pudding here. Again, this is something that a lot of people don't use on a regular basis. These slices are going to be laid on like that. It doesn't have to be perfectly thin or anything. At the end of the day, just as long as you get the layers in there, it doesn't really matter, as long as that black pudding is in there. Slightly overlapping, just along the length of the belly pork where you've got it. Because what happens is once we shape it and we wrap it in cling film, it will just foam it all up. So we go back to our belly pork, so we need to sort of do another layer of belly pork now. And again, laying the meat the same way that we did before. What we can actually do now is that fat that I reserved earlier, this fat here, we'll just squeeze a little bit of that. You need it in there to sort of keep the dish moist. So again, it's just getting these layers of pork. There's our second layer. So again, once again, we'll put the black pudding across like so. And again, we'll put a little bit of that initial layer of fat removed from the underside of the skin. Just squeeze that over there. It's quite easy to differentiate between meat, what is meat and what isn't meat. We're big fans of local produce. This particular pork is Welsh, and it comes from 3 miles sort of that way, so it's very local to us. When you lay the cling film down, put enough down so that when it's finished, you've got enough cling film to wrap over it. So if I place that over that way, I'm not going to push that down initially because I don't want it to come out the sides. Just push it and make sure it's nice and tight, but don't put too much pressure on it. and then just flip it over. What we need to do is put that in the fridge, let that go hard, and then we'll portion it up. Here's one that I made earlier that's set up. That's what it looks like. That's why we're putting those layers in there. So we've got the pork and the black pudding. If I cut it in half like that first, and what I'm going to do is cut that into portions like that. So again, just cut through like so. So that's what you'll end up like a portion. And you know, it's all edible. Everything there is. You haven't got to be worried about any cartilage or any bones or any skin. You don't want. That's 100% just pure, good pork belly. Now what we're going to do with these is breadcrumb them. So we need to pass them through flour, egg and breadcrumb. That's the process that we call paneing. So you've got to just slightly just tap and rub off the excess. So that's done. So just pop that in the egg now. Same sort of process. Just turn this over in the egg as you did the flour. Just very lightly coated an egg like that. You may think, well, why do I want to cook a whole belly? There's only 2 of us. Well, the point is that, you know, you can take your portions now, and then you can cut these into the rest of the portions, wrap them individually in cling film, and put them in the freezer. So just flick the breadcrumbs. It's best to use dried breadcrumbs. So if you have any old bread, it's worth letting the bread dry out and then sort of put it into a food processor. And all we're doing with these bread is we're just colouring the breadcrumbs. Because what we're going to do afterwards, we're actually going to cut the portion in half, and then we're going to pop it on a tray in the oven to heat through. So we're just looking for a light coloration there, just nicely sort of lightly pan fried, nice and golden brown. And we're going to do that on all 4 sides. So it really doesn't take that much time at all. It's a very quick process. So now we need to just take them out very gently, just cut them in half, like so. Now we just need to season it with a little bit of salt. I'm using Halen Môn Anglesey Sea Salt, which again is another True Taste of Wales award winner. And then we pop those in the oven for about 5 minutes. I got a couple here that I put in earlier. So they're nice and soft now. So just use a spatula just to lift it onto the plate. And then just fold this half over just to reveal the interior. So on that we serve my apple sauce. You can make the apple sauce yourself, or alternatively you can buy some good quality apple sauce and just add a little bit of mustard to it. And I've got some watercress leaves here. I think watercress works quite well because it's got that peppery, quite refreshing sort of taste. A little bit of olive oil in there. We're celebrating local Welsh produce with the True Taste of Wales Awards. There we are, there's our belly pork with black pudding, mustard and apple sauce and watercress.